Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me.
I stood at the edge of the grave, soaked in black wool in disbelief. The suit clung to me, tighter than it used to, like it didn't belong anymore, like none of this did. The funeral was too quiet. No jokes, no music, just rain tapping gently against the green canopy like it was afraid to interrupt. Aaron would have hated this. He was the louder twin, always the first to talk, the first to fight, the first to laugh at his own damn jokes. I couldn't picture him going out like this. Low voices, tissue boxes, stiff handshakes. It felt fake, forced. My wife Lauren clutched my hand. Her grip was sharp, borderline painful. I didn't look at her. Couldn't. It didn't feel like comfort. It felt like control. My parents sat right up front, dressed like they were attending a damn shareholders meeting. No red eyes, no tissues, just perfectly ironed clothes and practiced frowns. My dad nodded at the priest like they were closing a deal. My mom adjusted her pearl necklace mid-prayer. The casket started to lower. My throat clenched. My hand reached for my phone without thinking. Years of muscle memory from ignoring boredom or grief. Just one buzz. A text. From Aaron's number. "I'm not dead. That's not me." My heart stopped. I glanced around, quick and sharp, at the trees, at the cars, at the guy holding the umbrella by the hearse. No movement, no eyes on me, just gray skies and the sound of soil hitting wood. Quick note. Before listening, share in the comments which city or country you're watching from. And let's continue. I texted back with trembling fingers. What the hell is going on? A few seconds passed. Another buzz. Can't say more. They're listening. Don't trust Lauren or mom and dad. My legs felt like rubber. My ears rang. I shoved the phone back in my pocket, forced my face into something neutral, and stared straight ahead. When the final prayer wrapped up, people filtered out slow, like they weren't sure what to say. Lauren leaned into me, whispered, "We should go." Her breath touched my neck and made me flinch. Too cold, too calculated. That night I didn't sleep. Just lay there with her curled up next to me like nothing was wrong, like my world hadn't cracked open in one text. I kept my eyes shut, breathing steady, pretending to be asleep. But every nerve in my body was lit up, screaming. That wasn't my brother in the box. And whoever planned this funeral, they were in my house, lying next to me. I got out of bed before sunrise. Didn't say a word to Lauren. Just grabbed my keys, threw on a hoodie, and drove 2 towns over to where Aaron lived. A studio above this beat-up tire shop with a busted neon sign that hadn't lit up right since the pandemic. I'd been there a dozen times before. He liked it because it was cheap, quiet, and nobody gave a damn about who came and went. But when I stepped inside, it felt wrong. Like the place had been bleached. No dishes in the sink, no hoodie on the couch. No half-written lyrics on the whiteboard he kept by the bed. His acoustic guitar was gone, his laptop, even his stupid lava lamp. The only things left were a crusty jar of mayonnaise in the fridge, and a single beer. Aaron hated mayo. I mean, he used to gag at the sight of it. So that told me someone else stocked that fridge, or someone wanted me to think he did. I stood in the middle of the room, trying to feel his presence, but it was like he'd never existed. And that's when it hit me. It wasn't just cleaned. It was staged, sanitized, scrubbed of Aaron. That's when the kid in me kicked in. Back when we were 8, we used to hide notes and toys from Mom. She'd do random room checks when she was in one of her moods. We had hiding spots, clever ones. I walked straight to the old wooden dresser he dragged from our parents' attic years ago, pulled it out from the wall. There it was, a fake outlet cover, just like we used to use. I popped it off, and inside was a small Ziploc bag, taped deep into the drywall. My hands were shaking now, more from adrenaline than fear. A burner phone. It still had battery. I powered it on, expecting some kind of lock screen. Instead, it asked for a passcode. I tried the first thing that came to mind, Our old PlayStation cheat code for that game we spent a whole summer beating. Shadow 98. The screen unlocked. There were only 3 contacts saved. One labeled J, one called Fox, and another as Gray. No texts, no calls, no photos. Just one video file. I sat on the bare mattress, thumb hovering over the file. Then I tapped it. The screen flickered. Aaron's face appeared, gaunt, sweaty, his voice uneven. He was outside somewhere, maybe in a forest or near a mountain range. Trees behind him, wind crackling through the mic. "If you're watching this," he said, "then either I made it out, or I didn't." My throat tightened. He glanced off camera like he was checking for something. "The funeral. It's fake. Someone close to us set it up. I'm not safe, Nate. And you're not either if they think you're asking questions." He leaned closer to the screen, and I could see a long scratch down the left side of his face. "Start with Lauren. She's not who you think she is. And if you're brave, ask Dad about Maverick Pines." He paused, like he wasn't sure whether to keep going. Then, "Don't trust Mom. No matter what. She's deeper in this than you think." The screen wobbled a second like he tripped or adjusted his grip. "I found something," he said. "Stuff I wasn't supposed to see. Files, names, things that could take the whole damn thing down. That's why I ran. That's why they want me gone." The video ended there. Just cut off. No goodbye. I sat there, heart pounding like I'd run 10 blocks. I stared at the phone in my hand, trying to absorb what I'd just heard. I wasn't some conspiracy nut. I didn't live on Reddit threads or wear a tinfoil hat. But this wasn't a joke. This wasn't made up. My brother faked his own death to escape something he believed would kill him. And now he wanted me to question my wife. And our parents. My eyes drifted toward the window. I couldn't shake the feeling someone was already watching me. I pressed the phone tight to my chest and sat there another few minutes, breathing heavy, trying to piece it all together. Why was Aaron running from our own family? From Lauren? I couldn't answer that yet. But I knew where I had to go next. I had to look my father in the eye and ask him what the hell Maverick Pines was. Sunday afternoon, I pulled into my parents' driveway like I had 100 times before. The siding on the house was still cracked near the garage. The same hedge needed trimming. But the air felt different now. Heavier. Like I was walking into something I couldn't walk back out of. Dad was in the backyard, manning the grill like it was just another day. Same faded grill sergeant apron. Same can of Coors Light sweating in his hand. He didn't look up when I stepped onto the deck. "I got burgers and brats," he said. "You hungry?" I ignored that. Walked straight to the patio chair across from him and sat down. My hands were clenched under the table. "What happened at Maverick Pines?" His hand stopped mid-flip. The spatula hovered above the flames. One of the burgers blackened and started to smoke. He didn't notice. He turned his head slow, eyes locked on mine. "Where'd you hear that name?" "Aaron," I said. "He sent me a message. Told me the funeral was a cover. Told me everything leads back there." The grill hissed louder, grease hitting open flame. He didn't move to turn it down. Just stood there, jaw tight, thinking. "Maverick Pines," he said, voice low like he was telling me a bedtime story from hell. "Wasn't a base. It was a contract site. Private money. Military oversight in name only. No uniforms. No oversight." He finally turned the heat down and stepped back. "I worked there. Logistics. Intake. Nothing deep, but enough to know what they were doing." "What were they doing?" I asked. He hesitated, like he thought maybe I didn't deserve the truth, or maybe it was too damn late to stop it. "They called it neurological performance enhancement, human testing on memory modulation, sensory acceleration, reflex integration, the works." He looked past me into the trees, like the past was hiding there. "Aaron got injured 2 years back. You remember that, right?" "Yeah," I said. "Bike accident. Cracked ribs. Concussion." "Wasn't an accident," he said. He volunteered for the program right after that. Told us it was physical therapy. It wasn't. He took a sip of his beer, long and slow. They fed him a custom protocol, neural implants, chemical recalibration, trauma pairing. The whole point was to see how far they could push cognition when it's tied to shared emotional trauma. Twins were ideal. I felt my spine lock up. You let them use him? I didn't let anything, he snapped. He signed up. He was legal age. Thought he was fixing himself. But it worked, didn't it? I asked. Whatever they did, it stuck. Dad didn't answer right away. Just watched the Coles like they owed him something. It worked, he finally said. Until it didn't. He started losing time. Having these cross-echoes. Like he'd feel things you were feeling. Like your minds were syncing. I blinked hard. That's not real. It is now, he said. That's why they shut it down. Officially. But unofficially, the people funding it. They saw something else. Not therapy. Not medicine. He looked me dead in the eye. They called it asset retention. Train loyalty into soldiers by rewriting how they process fear, pain, love. Strip away the self. I pushed back in my chair. My breath was shallow. So you're telling me Aaron faked his death to get out of that? He didn't fake it for fun, Nathan. He faked it because someone was going to erase him for real. He got a hold of something. A full dump of the testing data. Names, schedules, financials. Dad moved the burgers off the flame, finally, and shut the grill lid with a hollow clang. If he contacted you, that means someone slipped. You were supposed to think he was gone. I saw the video, I said. He said not to trust you. Or Dad leaned against the railing, suddenly looking older than I'd ever seen him. You think I like this? You think I haven't spent the last 2 years waiting for this moment? Wondering if I'd wake up to a knock on the door and never hear from either of you again? Then why didn't you do something? I asked. I tried, he said. They shut me out. I was a contractor, not a decision maker. They kept Mom. She was deeper in than me. What does she know? He looked away again. Didn't answer. That was enough. I want names, files, whatever you've got. He laughed under his breath, joyless. You think I kept souvenirs? I buried it, like I was told to. So what now? He stepped closer. Now? You've got 2 options. Disappear, or finish what he started. But if you stay in the middle, they'll tear you apart. I stood. Didn't shake his hand. Didn't say thank you. Just walked off the deck and got in my truck. That night, I slept maybe an hour. Dreams came in flashes. Aaron screaming in the woods, Lauren's cold breath on my skin, my dad flipping burgers like the world wasn't on fire. In the morning, I printed everything from the burner phone, packed a duffel, and pointed my truck north. Aaron had one person left who might still love him enough to talk. His ex. I drove 40 miles north with the defrost blasting and my mind barely holding it together. The GPS took me through switchback roads and patches of trees thick enough to swallow headlights. Just past a rusted sign that said, Scenic River Overlook. I found it. A single-level cabin tucked behind a line of fir trees, porch light glowing dim like it hadn't been changed in years. I parked and walked up slow. My hand hovered over the doorbell, but she opened the door before I touched it. Just cracked it an inch. She went pale. You look like him, she said, voice almost a whisper. I nodded once. I'm not. I'm Nate. She stared at me like she was scanning for proof. After a few seconds, she opened the door wider and stepped back. Come in. The smell hit me first. Lavender and printer ink. Inside was warm but tense, like the air had weight. The living room had almost no furniture, just a desk covered in documents, printouts, thumb drives. The far wall was plastered with pinned papers, string, names, and maps. It looked like something out of a murder trial. You want something to drink? She asked. I shook my head. Number. I need answers. She glanced at me sideways, lips pressed thin. He's alive, isn't he? I didn't even bother hiding it. Yeah. She exhaled sharp through her nose, turned away, and walked to the desk. I thought if he reached out to you, it meant he was desperate. I need to know what Maverick Pines really was, I said, and how deep this thing goes. She didn't say anything at first, just opened the bottom drawer of a locked file cabinet, pulled out a heavy metal case, and carried it to the desk. I don't work for them anymore, she said, but if they knew I kept this... She cracked the latches. Inside were stacks of medical logs, memos with government seals, photos of charts and injection sites. There was one of Aaron, shirtless, hooked up to wires, eyes half-lidded like he wasn't fully there. I was his handler, she said quietly now. They never told him that. We met through a job placement app. Looked random. Wasn't. You were spying on him? I asked, fighting the urge to flip the whole damn table. I was recruited through a shell company, BioTrack Health. My job was to monitor his behavior, record neurological responses, run environmental stressors, emotional triggers, track his reactions, report back. But you fell for him. She looked up fast, jaw clenched. Yeah, I did. Doesn't mean I stopped the work, at first. But I started seeing what it was doing to him. Nosebleeds that came out of nowhere. Whole days missing from his memory. Reflexes that didn't make sense. I walked to the crime board and scanned it. Words jumped out. Behavioral sync, trauma pairing protocol, Stalwart Phase 2. What's Project Stalwart? Her voice was flatter now, robotic almost, like she was trying to distance herself from what she was saying. Stalwart was an off-books human enhancement trial. They thought twins would offer the highest compatibility for neural crossover. Identical DNA, shared development, often shared trauma. The idea was to build stronger soldiers by binding them to another person's emotional core. Keep them from breaking. I stared at the word stalwart on a yellow sticky note. It didn't feel like science fiction anymore. It felt like someone rewrote the rules and didn't care who got crushed under them. So what did they actually do to him? She pulled out a photo of a brain scan. They implanted biofeedback nodes in his parietal lobe, microdoses of neural-enhancing compounds. Environmental stress was key. They wanted to simulate wartime conditions. That's where I came in. I was his calm, then his chaos. You're telling me, I said, stepping closer, that everything he went through, the tests, the memory gaps, the breakdowns, that was planned? She nodded, eyes sharp now. Everything. And your parents were involved. Your mom ran the intake screenings for twin candidates. Your dad handled supply chain and off-site transport. They weren't spectators. They built the system. The room felt like it was tilting. I held onto the back of the desk chair and gritted my teeth. Why him? Why Aaron? He found something he wasn't supposed to. During one of his sync events, he saw another test subject, a child. That wasn't part of his cohort. He started digging, found a directory, cross-referenced locations. Then he stole a drive. I looked at the case. It's in there? She shook her head. He took the original. I only have the index files and proof he accessed it. He told me if he ever vanished, someone would come looking. I narrowed my eyes. And where is he? She turned to her laptop, tapped a few keys, and pulled up a satellite map. Zoomed in on a cluster of state-owned forest. Right there. No roads, no trails. Closest service tower is 5 miles out. He's been moving around. That red dot is the last known ping from his emergency beacon. You tracked him? No, she said. He let me track him. For this exact reason. I stared at the screen. Trees for miles. No signs of life. Nothing. He said if you ever showed up, she continued, it meant they were getting too close, and he was running out of time. I grabbed the printed file from the desk, along with a flash drive she handed me. She walked me to the door, but didn't open it yet. One more thing, she said. Once you go in after him, you don't come out the same. I haven't been the same since the funeral, I said. She nodded once. Then you're ready. I walked out into the night, file in hand, stomach in knots. I had a location now, a target, and a brother waiting in the woods. I parked where the road turned into packed dirt and the trail faded into brush. GPS said I was still 2 miles short of the last ping. I killed the engine and listened. Nothing but trees and the quiet thump of my own heartbeat. I threw the duffel over my shoulder and started walking. No roads, no trail markers, just damp ground and fading light. Branches slapped at my arms. Pine needles crunched under my boots. The deeper I went, the more unnatural it felt, like the woods were holding their breath. No birds, no wind, just stillness. I checked the map twice to make sure I hadn't drifted. Then I saw it. Tucked behind a thick curtain of moss and brush, a slanted wooden shack, barely upright, looked like something left over from a logging crew 50 years ago. I stepped into the clearing, raised my voice, low and steady. Aaron, it's Nate. The silence hung for a beat. Then the door creaked open. He stepped out slow. His face was thinner, eyes hollowed out and sharp. Dirty sweatshirt, mud on his jeans, a long scar down the side of his neck I didn't recognize. You shouldn't have come, he said, voice low but steady. I stared at him. You're alive. He didn't smile, just held the door open. Inside. Now. The shack was smaller than it looked. 1 room, no power. The air smelled like damp wood and gasoline. In the corner was a pile of firewood, a sleeping bag, a battered laptop, and a metal lockbox. I dropped my bag, heart hammering. I know everything, I said. Lauren, Mom, Dad, Olivia, Maverick Pines. Aaron leaned against the wall and crossed his arms. So they cracked. Dad told me you volunteered, that it worked, that they were trying to weaponize you. He left out a lot, Aaron said, but that's their pattern. He walked over to the corner and dropped to one knee, flipped open the lockbox and pulled out 3 flash drives, a stack of printed forms, and a thick envelope sealed in red tape. He held up a photo. 2 kids, no older than 10, hooked up to wires, blindfolded. This is what they were doing, not just to me, not just to us. I couldn't look at the picture for long. It felt wrong in my hands, like it burned. I stayed out here until I had everything, he said. They started cleaning up the other subjects. I heard about 3 of them dying accidentally in the span of a month. Once I had this, he tapped the envelope. They found me. A crack from outside, instant, sharp. He moved before I could react, grabbed me by the collar and yanked me toward the back wall. You led them. I didn't, but I stopped. I didn't know. Another sound. Boots. Slow and deliberate on leaves. Maybe 2 pairs. Maybe more. He kicked open a floorboard, reached in, and pulled out a Glock. Then tossed me another. I caught it, hands stiff. We can run, he said, or we fight. I swallowed hard, heart racing. Run where? He didn't answer, just peered through a slit in the wall, whispered, too late. Then came the voice, from maybe 10 feet outside the shack. Calm, professional. Nathan and Aaron Dwyer, we want the drive. No one has to die tonight. I looked at Aaron. What's the play? He didn't blink. You shoot better right or left-handed. I don't even know if I shoot at all, I hissed. He handed me a spare clip. Figure it out fast. I crouched by the doorframe, gun raised. The weight felt unreal in my hands. Sweat dripped into my eyes, but I didn't move to wipe it. Aaron moved like someone who'd done this before. Steady, measured. He pulled open a hidden hatch in the back, just wide enough to crawl through. They think we're boxed in, he said. That's good. But they have numbers, I whispered. And gear. We have the truth, he said. And surprise. A crack of a stick, this time farther off, like they were circling. Go first, he said. I'll follow and seal the hatch behind us. What if they rush in? Then we don't miss. I dropped down and crawled through the dark. Came out behind a rock bed, just past a set of trees with thick roots I used for cover. I turned, and a second later Aaron slid out behind me, dead silent. We crouched behind a log as the footsteps got closer. "You sure this is worth dying for?" I asked him. He didn't look at me. "I'm sure it's worth not letting them win." Another voice, closer now. "We just want the files. You give us the drive. This ends clean." Aaron locked eyes with me. "They'll kill us either way, but not before they wipe everything." I raised the gun, hands steadier now. Somehow the fear started to feel useful. He nodded once, then pointed off to the east. "See that fire tower through the trees? That's where we upload." "Now?" He smiled, grim and fast. "Now." He took off first, weaving through trees like he'd run this path before. I followed, close behind, chest burning, every breath cold. Behind us the shack exploded with noise, doors kicked open, wood splintering, voices shouting. We didn't stop, didn't look back. We had one shot, and nowhere else to run. We sprinted through the brush like hunted animals, branches slapping our arms, leaves slicing across our faces. I heard the soft puff of suppressed shots behind us, not the chaotic pop of random gunfire, but clean, deliberate bursts. They weren't trying to scare us. They were trying to end it. Aaron kept glancing back, counting the distance by ear. 500 yards, he called out. "Watch your footing." I tripped once on a root, slammed my shoulder into a tree, caught myself, and kept going. My lungs burned. My legs felt like concrete. But we didn't stop. The fire tower came into view like a rusted skeleton, all twisted metal and faded red paint, rising above the trees like it was barely holding itself together. It swayed in the wind just enough to make my gut clench. Aaron didn't hesitate. He charged straight to the base, climbed the ladder like he'd done it a dozen times, and disappeared over the edge. I followed, every rung a fight. My palms were slick. The wind howled louder the higher I climbed. When I got to the top, the view was nothing but trees in every direction. No lights, no roads, just wilderness, and the feeling that somewhere down there, death was circling. Aaron was already setting up the rig, signal booster, laptop, flash drive, every move fast, practiced. He didn't explain, didn't need to. I crouched next to him, chest still heaving. "What's in the files?" He didn't look at me, just kept working. "It's not just experiments, it's programming." I frowned. "Like brainwashing?" "Worse," he said. "They tested pairs, mostly twins, tried to force emotional bonds under stress, then broke them apart, over and over, until loyalty wasn't love, it was survival, reflex, obedience without trust. That's what they were doing to us?" He nodded once. "We were supposed to fracture, turn on each other, but we didn't. That made us unstable, dangerous." The laptop beeped. "Upload started," he said. "Now we hold." I peeked over the edge of the platform, gun tight in my grip. Movement near the tree line, fast, low. Someone flanked left. Another shadow moved right. I raised the Glock but held fire. Didn't want to give away our exact angle. "Once it hits the satellite," Aaron said, "it copies to 46 dead drop servers. Can't be traced. Can't be stopped." "Good," I muttered. "Let's make sure we live long enough to see it go through." A branch cracked. Then the ladder shook. Aaron swung his rifle around, eyes locked. Metal clanged. Someone was coming up. We crouched near the opening, waited. Breath held. The metal creaked again. A foot appeared. Aaron fired first, one shot, then another. A scream. A short, sharp one. Then a loud crash. Silence. I exhaled hard, heart pounding in my ears. "Reload," Aaron said. I fumbled with my spare mag, slammed it in, hands shaking but still working. He glanced at the screen. 78%. "More coming?" He looked at me like the question didn't even need asking. We dropped to our stomachs, stayed low. Every second felt like a fuse burning. I saw another figure in the trees, rifle up, scanning. He didn't fire, just waited, like he was calculating. "Why now?" I asked, barely above a whisper. Aaron spoke through clenched teeth. "Because they've been cleaning house for weeks. Every leak, every loose end. Olivia's probably already on a list. You showing up forced their hand. Think she's safe?" He didn't answer, which meant she wasn't. 91%. I wiped sweat from my face with my sleeve. The wind picked up again, rattling the whole tower. We stayed frozen, eyes on the tree line, listening for anything. Nothing came. 98%. I moved closer to the laptop, ready to shield it with my body if I had to. Then, ding. Upload complete. A bright green checkmark blinked on screen. Aaron stared at it. "It's out." The trees went still again. Gunfire stopped. No more movement. It was like they vanished. I waited for another crack of a twig, a footstep, something. But it didn't come. Just silence. "What now?" I asked. Aaron leaned back against the railing. "Now we wait. Make sure they're really gone." So we waited. An hour passed. Maybe more. I lost track. When we finally climbed down, the woods were empty. The shack was still standing in the distance. A bird called out once, the first natural sound I'd heard in hours. The truth was free now. But whatever came next, the fallout, the exposure, the reckoning, that was the part we couldn't control. That was the part we'd have to survive. By the time we got back to town, it had already started. Headlines were multiplying like wildfire. Reddit threads, Telegram channels, encrypted blog posts with mirrored documents and timestamps. Someone had grabbed the files and spread them everywhere. It was out of our hands now. That was the point. The full dump hit the internet less than 24 hours after we left the tower. Names, dates, footage, images of children strapped to tables, notes on forced separations, timelines that didn't match up with any public records. Some of the names matched missing persons bulletins from 10, 15 years ago. Most of them, no one remembered. There were photos of twins, not just Aaron and me. Others, some crying, some completely blank. One kid stared straight into the camera with eyes that looked dead inside. I shut the laptop twice, just trying to breathe. My parents' names were on the fourth document. Dad was listed under Asset Logistics and Support. Mom, full signature, medical license number, recorded evaluations, was tagged Psychometric Gatekeeper. Both names appeared over a dozen times. Not side roles, not support staff. They were key. And Lauren? She had a Glint Research ID tag. Full name, assignment log. Her picture next to the word evaluator, bond fracture metrics. She'd been tracking me for years. She called me the morning it hit the major outlets. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice cracked like she'd been crying. "Nate, I didn't want this. You have to believe me. My dad was sick. The money, I didn't think it would go this far. Please, just call me back." I didn't. I played it once, then deleted it and blocked her number. Aaron and I were holed up in a busted motel 200 miles west, near a rest stop that smelled like old coffee and gasoline. The news played non-stop on the tiny TV mounted in the corner. Same phrase on every channel, Project Stalwart whistleblower leak. We were everywhere. Anonymous insiders, rogue agents, national security threats. Some called us heroes, some called us liars. A couple right-wing podcasts said we were plants from a rival agency. The public didn't know what to believe, but they knew one thing. This wasn't going away. 3 days in, black SUVs pulled into the motel parking lot. My gut clenched. Aaron grabbed the gun off the nightstand. But they didn't come to drag us out. They came to protect us. Federal agents with no-name badges and tired eyes. One woman, mid-30s, red blouse, no jewelry, handed me a folder full of subpoenas and a burner phone with 3 numbers saved. She didn't smile. "You did the right thing," she said, but you won't get to go back to normal. I said nothing, just took the phone and shut the door behind her. Indictments started rolling in that night. Mid-level supervisors, executives at Glint Research, doctors who'd signed off on neurological stress protocols, a colonel listed as a contracted ethics auditor, all of them named in the files, all of them on record. The press called it one of the most expansive private intelligence investigations in U.S. history. Lauren filed for divorce before the week was out. I signed the paperwork without reading it. She could have the car, the house, every piece of furniture we bought together, but not my name. She didn't deserve that. My parents were arrested 2 weeks later. I watched the clip on some grainy live stream, both of them in cuffs, escorted out of a gated community in Arizona. My mom looked exactly how I remembered, cold, proud, not a hair out of place. My dad kept his head down. They took plea deals. No life sentences, but close. No medical license. No pension. Nothing left to protect them. Everything they'd built. Gone. I sat on the motel bed that night, holding the burner phone like it was a live grenade. Part of me expected a knock at the door. Retaliation. Silencers. A clean end. Instead, I got a text. From Madison. I don't know what to believe anymore, Dad. But I believe you. I read it 5 times. Didn't text back. Couldn't. Just sat there staring at the screen, trying not to fall apart. That was the first moment I felt the weight shift. Not relief, not closure, but something like solid ground. Aaron glanced over at me. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, I think so. That night I actually slept. First time in weeks. The motel emptied out after the indictments came down. The feds moved us twice in 2 months, then left us alone. 1 year later, Aaron lived off-grid outside Kalispell, Montana. Solar panels, wood stove, no internet unless he needed it. He built a greenhouse behind the cabin and fixed up broken radios just for the hell of it. He didn't call much. That was the deal. He stayed quiet, and I stayed visible. I moved back east and started a nonprofit. Small office, 3 staffers, minimal funding. Nothing flashy, just a clean mailbox and a name on the door. The Dwyer Foundation for Whistleblower Defense. People showed up, some scared, some angry, all of them desperate to be heard. I took their stories, pointed them to the right people, built a space where secrets didn't rot in silence. Some days I forgot how it all started. Oh, just a text message, a black suit, my brother's name on a casket that didn't hold him. But when I saw Aaron again, when I looked into the eyes of the one person who'd burned his entire life to save the truth, I remembered. Truth can't stay buried. Not forever. We only did 1 interview. Just 1. For a documentary crew that had been chasing us for months. Big platform, national reach. They flew us out under aliases, gave us hotel rooms with no windows, and took our phones before filming. The director asked, "Why now?" I didn't blink. Because we were done being controlled. Aaron sat beside me, arms crossed, jaw set like concrete. He leaned into the mic and said, "Because someone's kid is next. Unless someone speaks." That was the moment I felt the room shift. The silence that followed wasn't doubt. It was understanding. We weren't talking about revenge. Not anymore. We weren't here to settle a score or make people pay. We were here to rip the curtain down and point at the ones still hiding behind it. We see you. That was all. The people who tried to erase us, my parents, Lauren, the suits behind Glint, the shell contracts and private labs, they'd spent years in the shadows, confident no one would ever shine a light that bright. Now they were the ones fading. As for me, I didn't sleep with a gun under my pillow anymore. I didn't triple-check the locks every night or flinch every time a black car pulled up behind me. I slept knowing we made noise loud enough to wake the dead. And louder than that, we made them listen. Would you have gone into the woods if it were your brother on the run? Tell me in the comments below. And if you like this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.